Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 189 of Build Your Stash and Craft. So today we're going to make little windows and we can make them in little frames. We could make tags with windows in them, just little embellishments. You could put a paper clip on or just tuck into a pocket. And so what we did for today was we have an iron and some wax paper. And then I dried some leaves with my flower drying system that we made a while back. I'll try and remember to put a link to that below. But I wanted to do some sassafras leaves, and I thought maybe some little clovers might be cute. And then all I did was just punched a hole in some, this is regular paper. I cut this hole with my X-Acto knife, and this is a piece of cardstock. And so we're just going to set those aside for a second though. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of our wax paper. Now, wax paper now is not as waxy as it used to be. When I was a little kid, there was a lot of wax on both sides. Now it doesn't have as much wax on it. And when you look at it, one side is shinier than the other. The shinier side is the side that we want. And, so what we're going to do is I put a towel on my table. If you have an ironing board, you wouldn't need the towel, but I don't have an ironing board here. So I just put a towel down to protect my surface. And then in order to protect the towel, I'm going to put some parchment paper down. And if you're using your ironing board, so now let me grab some parchment paper. If you're using your ironing board, you're also going to want to put some parchment on your ironing board so that the wax off the wax paper does not get on your ironing board. So we have our ironing surface, we have some parchment for protection, and then our wax paper. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take some things and put them in the wax paper. So I'm going to do I'll do a clover, and then I'll do a sassafras leaf. And then, it doesn't have to be naturals, it doesn't have to be dried flowers or dried leaves. I will do just a paper butterfly. Excuse me. I have a tickle. And it is a paper butterfly, not a cardstock butterfly. Just because, to me, the thinner that whatever you put in, the better. So, and I want to leave room so that I have space to cut around them. And I cut my paper in half just so it was easier than just trying to fold it. And then you're going to put the waxy side again, the waxiest side, now towards your items. And then I turned my iron on, already had it plugged in, and it's on medium heat. And if this works, like it used to work when I was a kid, it's going to melt the wax together, and we'll have, wow, I can't get the cord out of the way. And we will have our little windows to put in our frames. And so then we're just going to slowly run it across and give it a chance to melt. And keep our fingers crossed that it works. Oops, and I did that wrong. See? I can see the wet wax there. You're supposed to put the parchment paper down next so that you don't get wax all over your iron. And especially if you said, I didn't need to buy an iron for my craft room because I already have one for the laundry room, then definitely make sure you put the parchment paper down on there so that you don't get wax on your iron. We're just going to slowly, now that I have the parchment paper on here, we'll have to hold it just a little bit longer because you have to heat up the parchment paper and heat up the wax paper on top and heat up the wax paper on the bottom and give that wax a chance to melt. When we were kids, we used to have to do projects for school where you had to go collect the leaves and identify them, and this is how you'd put them in your book, or at least this is how we did it when I was a kid. You would put the leaves between wax paper, and then you would just iron it together, and that kept the leaf pretty nice shape for quite a while, actually. But these ones I did dry because I want them to last even longer. So let's see how that did. Just put my iron out of the way. And it does look like it melted. Now the thing is that it's stuck. But the thing is you want to let it cool down a little bit before you try and peel it apart or cut it or anything, because you need the wax to cool down and get hard so that it holds on to what you have here. Now here I can see like where it melted a lot in places and not as much in others. And so I'm going to try and go over that again and see if I can get that wax to wax the top of that little clover. And I don't know if I can or not, because like I said, there's not as much wax on here as when I was a kid. I remember when I was a kid, just, you put it on there and boy, that wax really melted. But I suppose now with microwaves and stuff and people putting things in microwaves, maybe they don't want it too waxy. Because some people may put wax paper in their microwave, I don't know. But we're just going to see. May work, may get a little more melted, and it may not, because there may not be that much on there to melt. But we're going to find out. I'm just going to concentrate. I really should concentrate around it too, because I want to make sure that all of that is kind of melted the same, I guess. Let's see what that did. Yeah, that did better. Still not perfect, but it did get it a little bit better. But there we go. And then we have these cool little things that we can tuck into something as an embellishment, like this. So that one fits in there, and that one fits in there. We could even do it like this. Let's see if the clover fits in the circle. Yeah, the clover fits in the circle. I think I'm going to use the square for here. So we'll just start by kind of cutting randomly. I want to leave a little more space here since I want to try and angle that. And now that you've now that you've melted the wax on the paper, now your glue will stick to it nicely. When it's real waxy, the glue doesn't want to stick that well. Okay, I want to move it over a little bit, so I need to cut a little bit more off of this edge. But this is just, it's a really fun thing to do. And it's just a different type of embellishment. Oh, I like the way that looks, so I'm just going to cut around just like this, and then we'll just glue it in there. And then if you want to make sure that it's not going to stick out the edges or anything, you can always go back in and trim it up just a little bit more. Just take off a shaving so that you know it's not going to stick out the edge. And we've got plenty of room around there to, and I'm not going to cut that side because I like the depth of that, and that will stop it from going any further. There we go. And then we're just going to tack it with tacky glue, or glue it with tacky glue. So we're going to put it all the way around. You're going to have to put it on both sides of your frame because you're going to have complete, the whole paper is going to be in there. Now, the one thing is on the edges, you don't want to get it too much on the circle edge. I've got parchment down here, so I'm going to use that to spread this out. You do want to get it down there by the circle, but you want to make sure that you do not have a whole big bump there by the circle, because if you do, it's going to squish out onto your little whatever you put in there. So we're just going to spread it around, make sure we get it everywhere. Get it right out to the edges and get it right next to the circle. Whoops. Then drop it. And then we're just going to line that up in there and close it. There we go. Now I got my towel here, so I'm going to press it on the table. Just pressing it flat. There we go. And so now we have this cool little clover, and it's see-through. You can see it on both sides. So it's just fun. I love it. And then, like I said, you could put a pin in the top and pin it in a journal. You can just tuck it in a pocket. You can round your corners. I'm going to set that aside, and what you should do with it, because we put so much glue on it, you know, on both sides and everything, stick it in a book and let it lay flat for a day, or for a while at least. And so let's go ahead and do the leaf. Let me see how I want this in here. So I kind of want to put it on an angle so I get the whole thing. I'm going to have to be careful right here on the corner because I got it really close. It's right there. I'm just going to kind of hold that there. And cut it so that because if I tried to just visualize it and take it away and cut it, I would never get it. And you're going to just cut this back a little bit. And hold it there. Oh, can't get my scissors in there. There we go. And there we go. So put some glue on this one, see what it looks like. And this one I just folded my paper in half, used an X-Acto knife and my ruler, and just cut a square in the middle. Make this over a little bit and just make sure we get that glue all the way around. Just like that. Now, how was it in there? I believe just like that. And there's another one. So these would be really cool in a nature journal. I would really love these in a nature journal. I'm going to, again, take it over here and just press it on the table. And then the last one, what I did was I punched this and I thought, well, I'm just going to leave it like that, and I'm going to leave it long. And that could either be the top of the tag or it could be the bottom of the tag. And you could make it into a tag or a journaling card because the back is nice. Oh, it's not the same length. Guess I better cut that off. And it looks a little loose around the butterfly here, so I think that really we should iron that down just a little bit better. Oh, there's my other piece of parchment. Didn't know what I did with my other piece of parchment. And so we're just going to concentrate right there by that butterfly and just kind of move it slow. Don't leave your iron sit still for very long because you could actually burn the paper a little bit. You know, not start on fire or anything, unless you left it forever. But you can kind of tinge it brown. So just kind of, you know, move it slowly because you want to keep it in that area. But just make sure you keep moving it. And we have to go through the thicknesses, so we want to have it on there for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, but maybe a minute. I don't know how long this has been, but let's see how that looks. That looks better. Okay, now we're going to put it in there. Line it up where we want it. And then just give it a quick cut. And you could try all sorts of things for these projects. So, and then we'll just glue that down. I actually think that oh, no, that's marks on the, there's marks on the paper that I used, and I thought it was maybe a dog hair. And then we'll just glue that just like we did the other ones. But I wanted to try one more thing just to kind of see if it works. And if it does work, then it'll show you that, yeah, you can do all different types of things. I had some sawdust sitting here. There is a cutter on there. And so I was doing something else with this, and I thought, I wonder. I saw it sitting there. Let's find the waxiest side. That would be this side. And I want 2 pieces of paper. Now, I think that the one thing is, because this is not as waxy as it used to be, and it depends on what you get. If you get one that's still really waxy, it will probably hold better. But what I was thinking was, you know, you probably want to keep it like to where you have some waxy paper around the edges. To really stick together. So if you wanted to cut out just a really small circle, try and put your, whatever it is you're putting in there, even smaller than that small circle, so that you have wax paper around the edges that will stick to itself. And so we're just gonna do this, and I'm wondering, this is, while we're kind of letting that heat up, this is one that we ironed together, so they're not super stickers. I was wondering about that. When I was a kid, once you ironed it, you couldn't really, well, you could peel it apart if you really tried, but it would not peel apart easily at all. And then the wax would like peel off a little bit on one side and a little on the other. So you will want to like enclose them in something like this once you get them done, so that somebody doesn't peel it apart, or it doesn't peel itself apart. And it may be that, let me turn my iron up just a little bit. Maybe my iron's not hot enough. Now, don't put water in your iron. Or if you do have water in your iron, don't use any kind of steam, because you wouldn't want to steam it. But yeah, it's not quite as good as when I was a kid, but I am still happy with how those turned out, because I think it's a fun and cheap way to get a little window into a frame, or you know, fill up a little window that's a frame, or make a little window frame and have it hold it together where you can see it on both sides. And I'm going to do this one just a little bit longer. Maybe not move it as fast. We need to give that wax some time to melt. But I really think that it has melted on those, but it's just not as waxy as they used to be. But I just thought this would be a fun way. I had some petals from our flower dryer, and I was thinking I want to enclose them in something, because I wasn't pushing down on that. I was actually just resting my hand there. And I was thinking I wanted to enclose them in something to keep them safe, because they're so delicate once you dry them. And I thought of this when we used to do this when I was younger. And like I said, you know, like the leaves kind of turned brown or whatever, but that wax paper stuck together. I mean, I remember finding, I think when I was cleaning up when I was moving out as a teenager, after I got married, and I was cleaning my things out, and I found one of my leaf books, and it was still in there and still stuck together. The leaves were kind of brown. So there we go. And so it stuck together well around it, but it didn't stick to the sandpaper. So now we have, if you can hear it, we have a shaker card. a sawdust shaker card. And that's kind of funny. But it does look like it stuck very well on the edges. Oh, how funny. Well, so, if you don't have anything to make a shaker with, no, because whatever you put in a shaker normally is like sequins and stuff, and they're plastic. You'd melt them trying to do this. So it would need to be something that doesn't melt to put in the middle. But that's still fun. Is that going to come out that side? Oh, yeah, it'll come out right there. There's a spot that's not stuck. And how well is it stuck? Not super well. So, yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to do it on something that had to stick together. And then, just as a really quick, let's try it. Let's see what it's like on the other side of the wax paper. Maybe I'm doing the wrong side, but really, I don't think I am. I think that, as this is the shiniest side, this is the non-shiniest side, so we'll try it on this side. As a kid, I can remember the wax on the wax paper, because you could scratch it off, and you could crinkle up the wax paper and put like paint on it. Let me make sure that's the non-shiniest side. Let's see how it sticks to itself. Again, some parchment. Don't accidentally grab your wax paper. But yeah, we used to like scratch on it and then paint with just watercolor paints on it, and the paint would stick where you scratched the wax off and wouldn't stick where it still had wax. Or we would draw on our wax paper onto a piece of paper, and the wax would go under your pencil. When you drew, the wax would stick to your paper, and then you'd paint on the paper, and it would, wherever you drew, the paint wouldn't stick because the wax was there. So I know it was definitely a lot waxier than this. But it's still fun. And that's the whole point of crafting. It's just to do something to occupy your mind, to have a good time. And, if you want something that's going to last a million years, then you're going to want archival items, and you're going to want things that maybe work better and that type of thing. But if you're making something as a present or as a gift or as a card, that a lot of people, if they're not crafters, don't understand the work you put into a card when you make someone a card. And, so they eventually just throw them away. So, it doesn't have to last for a million years. It's just supposed to be fun. Well, it feels stickier on the outside because that was the side of the wax. And we're going to let it cool for just a second before we see about pulling it apart. Because actually this feels stiffer than those ones did. So maybe... But I don't want to try and pull it apart when it's warm, because when it's warm, for sure it's going to pretty sure it would pull apart. But even that's cute. That would be cute if I had put a word on the circle, and then you could see the word through there. Or you could say, turn over, and then when you turned it over, you could put a cute little saying there. You might need to make something a little bigger, or just put I love you on there. They turn it over, and then that's a little surprise for them. All right, so where's the... It still peels apart. But it sticks pretty much as good as the other way, so it doesn't matter, I guess, which way you put it. So, for next week, we're going to just use things from around the house or things from in our stash, because I don't have anything decided for next week. So, again, like I said last week, it's been just really busy, but I'm going to make sure that I keep up with just some little fun things to do. And it'll give you a chance to try those things and see if you enjoy making them like I do. I really like these. I think these would be great in a nature journal. I think that's really perfect. And I really should have cut the butterfly out of a different color paper, and it would have stood out better. But I hope that if you try this, that you have a good time with it. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.